I want to just start by offering some gratitude, because every single day we still have an opportunity, even now, to practice some gratitude. And so I want to give gratitude for Arlene and our board here at East Bay Church, for all of our ministers and practitioners. I want to give thanks for Ona, who set the tone for us today with our meditation and our prayer and our declaration of what it is that we believe, because right now we need to know what it is that we believe. I want to give thanks for the less than 10 people who showed up here today to make sure we were taken care of in service. So JJ has been working hard to give us awesome video, and Arlene is working on the audio. And I see my sister Deborah just showed up and said, I'm going to pray right here in the room. And we have people spread out all over this community and all over this world who are joining us today. We've got Carol and Helen who are just holding the high watch, blessing this service, blessing each and every one of us, that we provide something that for this time creates healing and a higher vibration. I'm giving thanks now for right now hope is holding your virtual prayer box, because your prayers are not in vain. We are praying right with you every single day in this community, and wherever we are and wherever you are, we're there. I want to give thanks now for Reverend Celeste and the work that she put into here in this East Bay community. And of course, I cannot speak a word without giving thanks for my mentor, my forever minister, Reverend Eloise Oliver. I'm so grateful for what she did to make this place my home. And of course, I'm thankful for you, because there's a whole lot of places you could be on a Sunday morning. In fact, there's about 20,000 live streams going on right now, and the fact that you chose to be with us this morning, I'm so grateful for that. Whatever time you're watching this, if it's later or if it's now, you're still with us. Your energy is with us. It's with me. Just like if you were sitting here, I can feel it, because there's only one of us in the entire universe. And if that's true, and I believe that is true, wherever you are, I am, and all is well. So I am Reverend Dereca Blackmon, and I use she and they gender pronouns, and I like to let you know what my gender pronouns are, because you can't tell what they are by looking at me. And that's just something that I always say as an act of allyship to my friends in the gender nonconforming community, because it's time for us to be more aware than we've ever been about the differences of the people around us, and how to be one with each other across all the differences that we see and are coming to understand. I want to tell you that it's good to be home. They say home is where the heart is, and my heart has never left East Bay Church, even when my body wasn't here. But it's good to be in this place, in this very room where spirit has been prayed up for years and years and years, and I can feel the energy that goes into this place. It's here like a receptacle for every single prayer that you're bringing, every single challenge that you're bringing. Everything is held in this sacred space, and I'm grateful to be home. See, some of you know that I left for a little while. I went off and went down to Stanford University and became a very important person, an assistant vice provost, and was head of a lot of stuff. And I was of service, and it was a beautiful thing to support our students there who were first generation and or low income. And it made me feel grateful to continue to do the work of bridging the gap of diversity and inclusion. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time. And in January, I decided that I would quit my job and take a year to travel the world. What an interesting time to make that decision. I had a big contract. I was going to 4 countries in Asia and 3 countries in Europe, and that was all planned out. In January, I went to Spain and Portugal and went to Miami and New York. I had to self-quarantine after I got back because my family was like, we love you, but you've been on a lot of planes. And so there I was, thinking that I was going to travel the world and take time off and write, and it was so exciting. But it didn't work out exactly the way I planned. And when everything started to happen with this COVID-19, when everything started to happen with this coronavirus, when everything started to vibrate in a way that was disturbing this energetic force that we call God or spirit or nature or love, whatever you call it, just call on it. And when that started to happen, I said, it's time to go home. And so I came back here to Oakland, which is my home, to be with my people. And who knew? See, I didn't know. Y'all probably knew, but who knew? Reverend E knew that I was going to be right here at East Bay Church. So here I am. Today, our topic is of fear and faith. Now, it's very intentional. I love words. I wanted the topic to be of fear and faith, not from fear to faith. And the reason is that at such a time as this, we have a tendency to do what I call spiritual bypass. What we say is we got to stay positive and we got to be joyful and we got to use this time and be productive. And if you're on that page, God bless you. It's a wonderful thing to already have that insight that there's something for you that's bigger and broader than what's going on around you. I love that inclination. But for me, right? They called me the irreverent reverend. I looked up the word irreverent the other day, and it said a whole bunch of things about disrespectful. And I was like, ooh, maybe I should change that word. And then I looked it up on Wiktionary, you know, the Wikipedia version, and then it said that it was saucy and challenging the status quo. I said, oh, okay, yeah, that's the part. That's what I meant. So for me, in this irreverence, when I came back to the question of what will we talk about today, I said, it's important to me that we are able to hold the fear, to look at it, to not avoid it, to not bypass it, to not shame it, to say this is the place where we are right now, but also to hold the faith. Because this is the time for us to be with each other right where we are. This is a time for us to acknowledge the reality and reach for something deeper and higher and wider than a condition. So I want to talk today about fear and faith, because I think that's what's needed in our world today, is for us to not be higher than somebody else, but to be one with all that is. We say there's nothing outside of God, so your fear is not outside of God. There's nothing outside of God, so your faith is not outside of God. Everything is centered in whatever you name as your divine power, your higher power. Whatever it is that inspires you to feel connected, that's what we want to talk about today. So one of my favorite expressions that Reverend E uses is, ask me how I know. I love that expression because to me, it epitomizes the kind of minister she is. She is a person who speaks from testimony. She says, it's not because I read it. It's not because I heard about it. It's not because I studied it in ministerial school. I know what I teach because I lived it. I know what I teach because it created healing in my life. So today I'm going to operate from the ask me how I know principle, and I'm going to teach from my own life and my own story of fear and faith. So I want to tell you a little story about the last month and what it's been like for me. So because I was planning to travel the world, I was already a coronavirus expert. Some of you who know me well know I like to be an expert. I like, facts and figures and to be able to, come up with the thing that other people don't know. Ooh, it's not necessarily my best quality, but, it's gotten me into certain opportunities and into a little trouble. But I went straight to expert. You see, I had a plane ticket to Bali, and my plane ticket to Bali was flying through South Korea. So I was already in this space of, well, I need to know. I need to have all the facts and figures. And I started looking up things. And I was on that website. Y'all know Worldometer. A lot of y'all are on there with me looking at each country and how many tests they have and how many new people got it today. So if you started talking about coronavirus, well, I had a lot to say. I said, oh, well, let me tell you about the 0.6% in South Korea versus what happened in Wuhan. And I want to talk to you about how things started and how they might spread. And we need to be more conscious of that. I had it all figured out, right? Because I was well-read, well-educated. I was on top of things. And I really believed that this was me being able to be of service. Let me tell you some things that you may not know. It was an interesting time where I did a lot, but I didn't really feel good about it, right? And then the next wave came in this experience that we're having. The next wave that came was a wave of people that I knew getting sick. People were starting to have symptoms, and they had fevers and coughing, and there were things that were starting to happen that we hadn't even heard about. People having nausea and different things going on with their body. And that's when my knowledge, my expertise kind of shifted into wanting to be controlled. It's when my fear started to start and I felt like a little urgency. Listen to me. Don't take the NSAID. You need to take the ibuprofen. Listen, this is what Dick Gregory taught us. My dad called me. He said, Dick Gregory taught us to take the lemon and the lime peels and boil it and inhale the steam. I had a friend who was like, okay, chew a little garlic, ginger. I started being urgent. Let me help you fix it, right? Because I didn't want to not have anything to offer to the people who I love who were sick, or the people who were posting on Facebook out of fear. But see, what I didn't realize is that I was responding to fear with fear. I was on a call with all of my family, and I remember that I was saying to everybody, look, it's going to get worse before it gets better. You need to stock up on these things because if they took all the toilet paper, they're going to take all the medicine. And when I got off the call, I said, wow, did we pray? Did we pray on that call? And I wrote to my sister-in-law and I said, next week when we have the call, I like to start with prayer. And so I had these moments that I like to call lucidity, the moments of light when I kind of remembered my stuff and myself, and then they would fade away. So I want to share with you today something that Spirit put on my heart to share. So I have a diagnosis, and we like to talk about things around here as a diagnosis, right? Not a disorder. Because this is how people name things. It's not how I identify myself. But my diagnosis is that I'm bipolar. That's the diagnosis that I was given. And I know there's some of my friends and our family are like, oh, are you going to say that? Are you going to tell people? But the reason why is I know that in the times in my life when I have spoken the truth about the conditions that I experience, it has cut through that holier than thou-ness. It has cut through that place where people think if you stand up here on a stage with a pulpit, you can't relate to the everyday problems of the world. So experiencing this virus with that reality that I was facing, or that condition. I know religious science folks, it's not a reality, it's a condition. Okay. I'm going to hold it like fear and faith and say, this is the condition that I had been experiencing. And what that meant is through this whole thing, it was very up and down for me. It was very up and down. There were some days where I was so sad and I was sure I must have had it too. I had a scratch in my throat, and no, I didn't have a fever or a cough or anything else, but I did have a scratch in my throat. So maybe I got a mild case. There were days where I was in my self-quarantine and I was all alone. I hadn't seen another person I knew for 2 weeks, and I felt alone. I felt like everybody had somebody but me. And then the next day, right, because for me, my circumstance around the condition is that it changes up and down really fast. The next day, I'd be bright and happy. I'd be like, all right, let's be positive. Me and DJ D Nice had a good time partying with all Michelle Obama and Buju Banton. We had a ball. And so then I'd be up. And then another day, I'd be back down again. And it was rough. But as the days went on, I had these moments where I started to think about everything that I was trying to do to avoid myself, to avoid this time and what it was an opportunity for. What did Solange say? I tried to sing it away. I tried to run it away. I tried to dance it away, read it away. I tried to change it with my hair. Some of y'all know I just cut all my hair off to celebrate my 50th birthday. But it didn't work. Because I'm old school too, and Teddy Pendergrass said, wherever you go, there you are. You can't hide from yourself. Anywhere you go, there you are. And so there I was, some days sitting with my sadness and going, why? Why am I here like this at this time, feeling alone, going up and down? And the quiet, the solitude, in that space, an answer started to come. I started to imagine, what is the gift for me in this diagnosis? What is it about this up and down that makes me who I am? And I realized that it keeps me from believing that as a healer, I'm on a mountaintop, because I am right in touch with depression and how hard it is for some of us right now to just be by ourselves. I'm right in touch with the way it can be up and down, and how you could be so happy to be home with your children, and another day just wishing somebody could go on and take them somewhere, whether it's your children or your spouse or your roommate. This time, if we let it, it's going to require us to turn within. So all of my doing, it wasn't getting it. And then death started to touch me and the people that I love. Then one of my best friends lost his brother, and another good friend of mine. See, I'm from Detroit, and so many people have been lost there already. Not lost as in gone, because we believe in eternal life, but lost as in the body that I'm going to be missing. And I didn't have facts and statistics. We couldn't have a virtual Zoom party to help the folks who were in pain from that loss of the body. And I thought to myself, it's not enough. What I have to offer in this moment is not enough. What do I do? What can I give? You know, that moment when you're talking to somebody who lost somebody, you try to think about what to say or what to offer, and all you can say is my condolences and my prayers with your family and with my family. And so what happened when this death started to come into my life is I had to turn within. I had to turn to God. My friend Hunia called me and she said, "Can I ask you a question?" She said, "Do you pray for yourself?" And I said, "What?" She said, "Do you pray for yourself? Because when you pray for me, I feel it, right? But I think you need to do like the old grandmamas do, and you need to walk up and down the floor and pray for yourself." And of course, I meditate, I pray, I affirm, but not what she was talking about. What she was talking about is not just new thought. She was talking about ancient wisdom. She was talking about something on fire in your spirit. And so when death came, I turned to God. I asked people to pray for me, and God showed up. Because what's that expression? If you just move a little bit in God's direction, God comes to meet you. And things started happening. People started praying for me. People started saying, "Hey, do you want to write something spiritual for this blog over here?" And then I got the call to come here. And I said, "Yes, absolutely." It took me 5 seconds to say yes, because I knew there was opportunity for me to be used, for me to actually bring the highest and best of what I have to offer to the world. Because like so many others before me, I turned to God. I turned within to the spirit that lives within me. I turned to that love energy, to that divine goddess energy. I turned to it, and it opened itself up to hold me. I turn to it like Pharaoh turned to it when he couldn't stand the plagues anymore. I turn to it like Mary turned to it when she lost her brother Lazarus. I turn to it like April and Patrice and Opal when they reminded us that Black lives matter. Yes, I'm going to go there because I am a spiritual activist, and here some of us are upset. But the young people we had in Oakland, we had some young people who were out and doing a sideshow. But I got news for you. Some of us have had a plague on our community for generations. Some of us had nobody care when we were dying every day by the tens and hundreds and thousands. Some of these countries in the world were prepared because they've already faced plagues. They knew exactly what to do. So don't be mad at people who are not so concerned about how you're wanting them to protect you now, because the question is, were we concerned when it was them? See, it's amazing to me how quickly we opened up the hotels for the homeless. The hotels? You know we wasn't going to open up no hotels for homeless in San Francisco in the Bay Area. But see, the problem was the least of these are contagious to us. This is the flattening of the socioeconomic curve. All of a sudden, what happens to me affects you. We are one in a way that we have never been before. And there's something in the seed of that is forever different. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine about it because I can see all kinds of good that's happening all around us. I can see the pollution that's clearing. I can see the bonding that's happening. I started cooking real good food all of a sudden. There's things that we're doing differently, that we're thinking about differently. My mother used to always say her job, good thing she didn't work for her jewelry store. She didn't work for them because she worked for God, because now is the time where we have to answer the question, what is my actual source? Is it my paycheck? Is it unemployment? What is it? See, when we turn within, we get to answer the question, what do I really believe? This is the time for people of faith. I like to say faith is not for the good times. That's what gratitude is for. Faith is for this time, right now. This is the time for us to decide what is it that we believe and what is it that we want to do with it. I sat there in that place with my hands and my heart open saying, God, what is it that you would have me do? And it was so clear. It was so clear so quickly. And that's the invitation that I make to each and every one of us right now. As you sit with yourself, with your family, with your loved ones, not as you sit in front of Zoom all day. I know some of us are zoomed out, right? But as you sit, as we like to say, in the midnight hour, and we face the news every day that Reverend Michael used to call your prayer requests, right? When you open up that phone, that television, that television, I'm just going to suggest to you that 80% of what you're seeing on the television is not news. Find a different source. Don't let that just come into you without any kind of filter. There's other ways to get information, and the information that you want the most is inside you, because that is the seed of your faith. That is the seed that can grow into something that is uniquely yours to give to the planet right now. So I'm going to invite you to do what I really didn't decide to do. It was decided for me. I surrendered. I surrendered. Because that moment when I didn't know what to do, that was the sweet spot. I didn't have it all figured out because I got degrees and positions and experience and respect and love. I didn't have it figured out because of any of that. I still don't have it figured out, but I surrendered and said, I don't know. Maybe there's something greater than me that knows what I'm for right now, that knows what I have to give right now. And I believe that whatever's true for me is true for you. It's true for all of us. So there's something in us that knows what is ours to do right now. And I'm going to just invite you, after you surrender, to focus on that. Focus on you. What is your gift? What is your talent? What thing might have been buried and left on the back burner and not given an opportunity to live and breathe and thrive if you hadn't just sat down? You've been sat down. We've been sat down. Now is a time for creativity. Now is a time for us to think new thoughts. Now is a time for us to plant a seed that allows us to be with our fear. Be with it. Because the only way over it is through. So we're going to sit in that fear and wait. They sometimes call fake it till you make it. That's not what I believe. I believe that the truth is, it's the fear that's not powerful. The faith is more powerful than that. And so if we sit in it, the answers, the insight, the opportunity, the comfort, the peace that we seek is in us. And so I'm just going to invite you to surrender and to focus and then to act. How can you be of service? Yes, we could curse the darkness where our government and our billionaires haven't provided the masks and the ventilators and the hospital that they built in China in 10 days. I could focus on that. Or I could focus on what it is that I could do. No, we shouldn't have to sew masks, but we can. I can focus on what it is that I can do to make a difference. Maybe it's time to call somebody, right, that we haven't talked to in a long time. Or forgive somebody that we thought we would never speak to again. Maybe it's time for that dream we had of creating something musical or artistic or scientific or just beautiful. Maybe it's that time to help somebody else. Maybe it's that time to just heal ourselves. That old wound that we've been carrying, that inner child that's been waiting for us to pay attention to the pain that it experiences and to realize there's nothing to do but be with it and connect to the faith that got us to this moment through, I don't know about your life, but through a whole lot.